So, the other part of your course grade is going to come from your participating in a discussion forum or discussion board. With each of the figures that we study, and there's 6 of them, I'm going to be posting a specific and directed question with regard to the readings and the lectures. This is your opportunity to, in fact, use this class sort of like a think tank, right? This is the interesting thing about a class like this. There are 25 enrolled in each of these online sections, and with 25 people that are all concerned with and reading the same material, basically what you've got is one large reading group. All right, so this discussion forum, I'm going to get the ball sort of rolling on it by asking you a specific topic, showing a particular feature of an argument and trying to either ask something provocative or interesting to start the discussion off. Now, this discussion board is, well, it's specifically for the discussion of this course material. So any generalized inquiries about the course should be directed to me via email. And like I say, I will try to be as on top of that email as possible. In the busy times in the semester, I have to admit I do get behind, so please be patient with me. But nonetheless, if you have a question about how you were assessed on the exam, or when the exams are going to be graded, or how the course is going to lay itself out, those should be directed towards me. If you are not understanding a specific passage in the material or a specific key concept in Plato, Aristotle, Socrates, Hobbes, Kierkegaard, Nietzsche, what have you, the discussion board is a perfect place to ask your fellow students a question. And keep in mind too, I will be keeping an eye on this discussion board, and from time to time I will chirp in as well to maybe push a conversation along, to say I really like a particular discussion thread, what have you. I will be keeping an eye on these discussion forums, so perfectly acceptable with regard to your participation on these forums is a comment, something along those lines: Plato claims X, I don't understand, is it A or B? Right? So the 10% that's associated with your participation in this discussion board, what I'm looking for is that you're with your fellow students attempting to understand the material in question. Right? So this is the interesting part about the discussion forum. You don't so much have to be right. You don't so much need to come off as an expert on this material. That's for the exams, where you show what you've learned, right? Where you take the voice of authority. But in these discussion forums, it can be a more quizzical sort of questioning kind of forum. Right. Now, with regard to the acceptable and unacceptable sort of discussion forum participation and use, any sort of derogatory remark about or remark about any of your fellow students' comments, I've had them in the past, those are going to be removed. Any sort of content low remarks, say, I agree, or Plato is stupid, or something along those lines, will be insufficient to garner a decent grade on these discussion forums. So the 10% has to do with the quality of your input to the discussion, right? But again, you don't need to be so much correct as much as you need to be showing evidence that you're engaging with the material, right? So it has to be on topic, it has to be about the material, but other than that, the conversation that evolves, I don't interfere. This is for you to, in a sense, engage with and develop your understanding of the material, along with your fellow students, right? So far for the total of your grade for assessment is going to come from 1, 2, 3 exams: midterm 1, midterm 2, final, and 10% for the discussion forum. Right? So 30, 30, 30, 10. So that adds up to 100, so you should know how much of the percentage point grade. It's nice and easy for math, and that's partially because I'm a philosopher, I'm not a mathematician, and partially because I want your grade to be very clear and accessible to you. So, I've said a little bit about the acceptable use for the discussion board forum policy. As awkward as that was to say. Under course policies, that'll be the last one. There are 3 other course policies that I should mention to you, and this is the part of these intro lectures I hate, because the first of these 3 is plagiarism. And you'll notice what I do is I quote from the student handbook, Oakland University's policy on plagiarism, and understand that you are responsible for understanding this definition of plagiarism, which is using the ideas or words of other people as though they are your own. And I should say that there's a whole intellectual history that's out there, and it's there for you to use. You should be reading additional commentary on this work. It's perfectly acceptable to go to Wikipedia or SparkNotes to help you with your understanding of the material. But if you take selections, right, or explanations from these online or in library resources, you have to tell me where you're getting that material from, right? Otherwise, you're claiming to use, or claiming to be the author of that material, right? And you're not the author of that material, right? I will say, with regard to the exams, you're always better to tell me what you understand of the material in your own words, right? That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for how well you are understanding the material. So long, elaborate quotations from Plato, Aristotle, Hobbes, Nietzsche, etc., right? Well, those aren't what I'm interested in. I've read the material, right? I trust that you've read the material, right? And what I'm looking for you to do is use your own words and your own faculties and facilities to communicate what you yourself have taken from your reading and understanding of the material, right? So, right, basically this is the point in the first online welcome lecture I hate, because I'm pointing my finger at you and you haven't done anything, right? Understand what plagiarism is, don't do it, we won't have any problems. If you do plagiarize, I have a zero tolerance policy with regard to plagiarism. Oakland University considers me to be an adequate judge of whether or not you understand the material, but when it comes to authorship of material, they don't consider me an adequate judge. So, if I come across a large selection of material that you've gotten from somewhere else in one of your exams, basically what I have to do is pass it over to the Dean of Students' office, right? And then at that point, your grade is out of my hand, save for the fact that right here on the syllabus it says I've got a zero tolerance policy, and you automatically failed, not the exam, but the class, right? So you're better off, even just doing a plain cost-benefit analysis, to not risk plagiarism, because I try to put the sanction high enough that nobody will do it and we won't have any problems. Oakland University, for a case of plagiarism, will put all sorts of other sanctions on your record, etc., etc. So, more or less, don't do it. It's really not worth it. All right. Now, the missed exam policy, I understand life happens, and sometimes you miss a deadline or a due date because the sky falls, or, you know, some sort of horrible family situation erupts, or something along those lines. It can happen to me, it can happen to you. So I get that, but all I require is that you let me know, preferably before the due date in question, or within 20, actually, did I say 12 hours? It's basically all I'm restating is the student handbook policy. 12 hours of the deadline or due date, right? So this should be really doable for you, and you'll see I'm happy to work with you with regard to this kind of emergency, which I understand.